So today we're going to do the handover video on the Autotrail Tracker EKS. We're going to start on the outside and we're going to move on to the inside. So firstly, coming onto the outside, along the passenger side, open up, you've got your fill up point, and that's for your diesel. Open up the passenger door, you'll notice on this specific model you've got Remis cab blinds, which are just here, which operate by simply pinching these little hooks in and pulling out, which will connect onto the side via a magnetic strip. You've got the same along the front as well, which you'll pull across. And as a rule of thumb, when you are using these, just simply lead from the bottom and connect in to the top, like so, and that'll connect in like that. Whilst we're here as well, you'll notice your bonnet release catches on this side. Pull that to release the bonnet. I'll open the bonnet up for you now, just to show a couple of things underneath there. With the bonnet open, there's not many things that you need to know underneath here, but the main things is if you're ever jump starting the vehicle. If you are, your negative goes onto this terminal here. On your positive, it just goes underneath this cap here, it just needs lifting up, but there's a little positive symbol onto here. This slots up, this cap, and then you can put it onto there. Whilst we're underneath here with the bonnet open, just to point out a couple of things, you've got your engine oil here with your dipstick below, your brake disc fluid, your engine coolant, your power steering fluid, and then finally in the corner you've got your washer fluid, which is just there. Moving to the other side of the vehicle, you can see firstly you've got one of a pipe just down here which leads us onto our first drain down point of the vehicle. This is your wastewater drain down point, so when you're on site you'll have a huge grid that you can drive over and simply drain the water out of the van. All you do to do that is simply turn this valve here, turn that, this handle, and that will drain down the entire wastewater tank. Whilst we're on the topic of drain down points, you've got three main drain down points. You've got your wastewater, your fresh water, which is just at the back there, which I'll show you how to use in a minute, and your boiler drain down point, which is on the inside. As a rule of thumb, when draining down the vehicle, leave everything open, so as you're travelling home, all the water is going to get out of the vehicle. Next, you've then got your hookup point, which is your 230 volt point, which gives you mains electric power. And then here is your truma vent. This does get quite hot, so do be careful. So don't, hang anything on here or put your hand on there, just be careful. But this is your truma vent and is in essence your chimney. Moving on, you've then got with this vehicle, opening up an external shower point, which using a bayonet fitting connected to the end of a shower, you can simply pop in there, turn it, and let it lock in. You'll need your pump on for this to work, but then all your water can feed through. At the back here as well, you've got your cassette toilet. I'll just open this up for you now. With the cassette open, you can see it gives you access to the cassette itself. So it's dead easy to remove this. All you've got to do is pull this handle up like so, and pull out like so. What I'll do is I'm going to pop the cassette onto the floor now and just show you how to drain that down. Okie dokie, so with the cassette on the floor, you can see it's really easy to drain down. All you need to do is turn this funnel like so. You can then unscrew this cap, and using the orange button on the back, click that in. That will release that will set off an internal vacuum in the cassette, so all the water can simply flow out the vehicle. Flow out the cassette in dead easy, so there's no splashback. Once you've done that, you can put a bit of water in here just to swill it out, and then put the cap back on and swing the arm back in like so. So then you can put it back in, and then you're good to go. Now, whilst the cassette is out, you will notice that you have got this little arm here and this little lever which turns and swivels. The main thing that you need to know is when removing the cassette, the blade on the toilet is closed. The blade makes contact with this arm and will open and close the cassette. You should never need to move this. This should always be in this position. And when removing the cassette, as I say, you need to make sure that that blade is closed, because when you come to remove it, if it is open, it'll get caught and potentially jam the system and ultimately break it. So it should always be closed when removing, and it'll put it into this position. Always leave it like this, never turn that and then try and put it back in, because it'll snap, so leave it like that. Once you've done that, push the funnel back in, line the cassette up and slide in like so until it clips in here, and then you're good to go. Moving to the back now, you'll notice you've got your second drain down point, which is your fresh water, as indicated, as this is a blue, and the other one was grey. And again, this works the exact same as your wastewater. Turn this valve and that will drain down the entire freshwater system. Now next to the drain down point, you have got a locker which I've just opened up for you, and this gains you a bit of space at the back end, almost like a little garage, so you can put all your gear in there, and it's all concealed and hidden, which is a really nice feature. Moving around to the back, on this model you have got a tow bar along with your bike rack and reversing camera, which has been mounted up at the top there. Coming round to the other side of the vehicle, on this side you have an external barbecue point, which using a bayonet fitting will connect into there. You can turn that into place and then run gas throughout the vehicle when using barbecue on the outside. Next to this, you have a freshwater fill-up point. So this just needs a little key to open, but you can remove this cap and then using a food-grade hose pipe, put your hose pipe into here and fill the tank up. When it's full, it will then obviously start spilling out, and you know you've filled it up, so you can simply put the cap back on and then you're good to go. Obviously when you are filling up, please make sure that your drain down points are closed so the water remains in the tank. Next, you've got your fridge vents on this side of the vehicle. You can get winter covers for them when storing the van, but they're all there for you. One thing with this is if it is a hot day and the sun's beating down on this side of the vehicle, if you can, keep this under shade just to stop this from occurring and allow it to run more efficiently, the fridge. Next, you've then got a storage locker here. I'll open that up for you now. As you can see, the storage locker is now open. You have got your awning pole in there, which will just connect to the awning up at the top. The awning is dead simple. All you need to do is connect it into there, turn it halfway, and then it will hang loosely and be locked into the awning. You can then wind the awning out, wind it out all to a point where you can reach it, and then you can pull each leg down and let them take the weight of the awning. Once you've done that, angle the legs and wind it out, and simply walk it out, so it's dead easy, dead simple. But that's how you do it, and then obviously it's vice versa when putting it away. If it is windy, however, please do make sure that there's no wind, that you do put the awning away rather, because if you do get any wind underneath it, it's simply going to break and potentially snap the awning. Next is your gas locker. Your gas locker will hold two 6 kg calibre gas bottles, and you can notice you've got a pigtail in there which will connect it from the regulator to your gas bottle. Your gas, please make sure that you are safe with it and that it's only turned on when stationary and using the vehicle. You don't want to be running your gas when travelling. We're now on the inside of the vehicle, and as you can see, as you walk through the habitation door, you've got your control panels up at the top. You've got your control panel here. This is for your lighting, and then you've got a control panel here for all your heating, which is a separate unit. So firstly, you've got your mains button here, which is your main isolator. That'll turn on and off everything which is 12 volt. And if I click that, that'll turn on all your lights. You can see next to that you have a little button which indicates a battery. That is the option if you wanted to switch your battery. So if you like, you can switch it from leisure to vehicle. So all your lights, instead of running off the leisure battery, will run off the vehicle battery. Please make sure that it is the leisure battery that it's running off, and it's not the vehicle battery. And by clicking each one, it will tell you the level that it's at. So you can either, vehicle battery is fair at the moment, your leisure battery is good. It just indicates that there for you. Next, you've then got your pump button. So if you click that pump, that'll turn and activate your pump on. When doing that, please make sure that you've got water in the vehicle, and then you can come to each of your taps. You can turn them on and turn them to hot. What that'll do is it'll pull water from the freshwater tank into the boiler and then out of the tap. Once it's running steadily, you've primed your system for your hot water, and once you've done that, do the exact same on cooled water. Now, the reason I tell you to do it on hot water first is your boiler is going to take about 10 litres of water, which once it's in the system and you've turned your heating on, will start heating up that water. So by the time you've done all your checks, you've got your vehicle ready to use, your water should be coming through warm. It's going to take 40 minutes or so, well, 30 to 40 minutes. So that's why I tell you to do that first, just so you're ready. when you need it. Coming back up here, you can see that you've got another door light that's on the outside of the vehicle, and then using these buttons here, you can flick through the options. Fresh water, we've got a bit of water in here, as you can see, 50%, so that'll tell you your level. Flick through, you've got wastewater, again showing your level, and then your battery current, and also solar current to your vehicle. It'll just tells you your details there. External temperature, and then you've got the option of selecting tank heaters on by clicking this button here for when it is a cold weather. And then you can change the timings and things like that, and just by flicking through the options there. And that's your control panel. Moving over to the heating. Your heating's dead easy and dead simple. This is a Truma heater boiler. You can see that you have got two switches here, which are just for lights in the back here, so don't confuse them with the heaters. If you are wanting to run the heating off gas, you can do that by using this button here. If you flick that to the top, it gives you 50 degrees. If you flick it down to the bottom, it gives you 70 degrees. You'll use 70 when you're having when you're washing up your dishes and things, and you'll use 50 degrees for when you're having a shower and things. So the vast majority of the time, this will be switched to 70, just to get it up to temperature. Now on the other side, as I say, that one's for your gas. So if you're running it off gas, you're wild camping, you can run it using this one. And as indicated at the bottom here, as it says 230 volts, it's quite difficult to see on the camera, but this is for your 230 volt mains electric. So when you're hooked up on site, you can run it off this one here. So in the middle, as you can see, there's a little O button which stands for off. You can then, you've got the option to run it off 2 kilowatt electric, which by flicking this, you can switch to. You can then run it off 500 or 1 kilowatt electric, depending on what power you are supplied with. The vast majority of the time you'll select it onto the 2 kilowatt electric, and then using the dial here, you can change the temperature of what you want the heating to put out at. So it's dead easy and dead simple, and your heating is all controlled up there. You have then got a space heater, which is just below here, which is just onto here. Works in a very similar way. As you can see, this is a 230 volt system, and you can run it off your off an auto or a manual option, and then you can change through the fan speeds and also the temperature. As you hear now, that heater is then come on, and the fan is just blowing air through the system. In the middle position here, just indicates an off. Coming away from the control panel now and into your bathroom, your kitchen area, you've got your oven and grill here, along with your hob, which is with 1 electric and 3 gas, which is a really nice feature because when you're on site you can use your electric. You've then, as I say, got your oven and grill below, and then plenty of storage above and below the kitchen. Moving on, you've then got your bathroom, which is just in here. You've got your toilet here, which we've discussed, and also your taps along with your shower for when you're priming your system. Just come to here to turn them on to hot. Now coming back to your cassette toilet, as I mentioned outside, you have got a blade on this which will open and close depending on whether you're using the cassette. So that blade is just located underneath here, and it's this silver piece of plastic. At the moment the cassette is closed, pull that away from you and that is open. So when in use, all you need to do is pull that and push that toward the side, and that will open the cassette. You open the cassette for 2 reasons, so all the waste can drop into the cassette, dead simple, and then you can then press that blue button there, which will activate your flush, and that will flush the entire system. Once you've done that and you've finished using it, pull the blade to the side. That will close the cassette, and that you do for another 2 reasons. The main reason is to stop odours from escaping, but the second reason is to also get in the habit of having that cassette closed every time you're done with it, because when you come to remove the cassette, you're never going to run into that issue with it snagging or getting stuck. Cassette is all there, and this does swivel as well to give you a bit more room and get yourself comfy. Up at the top, as I mentioned, this is your flush button. It is worth mentioning that your pump does need to be on for that to work, and then you'll get a red light just to indicate when that is full. Next, you've then got, if I open this up, a bit of hanging space up here, along with your carpets which are in here, and then you've got a heater, which is just in essence your chimney, just another vent outside the vehicle. Directly opposite the storage area and the heater, you've got your fridge. This is a Dometic fridge, and it's a three-way system. It's called three-way system because there's 3 ways to fuel it. You can either run it off 230-volt electric, gas, or 12-volt leisure battery. Now, as indicated on here, it's quite difficult to see because we're in low lighting, but you can see that you've got your 230-volt system there, your gas, and your 12-volt, as I've just mentioned. All you do to turn this on is click that button, and that will turn the fridge on, and then select whichever fuel you've got. Down here, you've then got your temperature for the fridge, and then a little button here if you ever want to reset the fridge. Now, you'll only need to reset it, for example, if you get an error code on the fridge. Now, the reason you'll get an error code is if, for example, like the heating, you've selected a fuel that you've not got. So, for example, if you're on site and you're hooked up to electric and you've no gas, but you're trying to run the fridge off gas, you'll get an error code. Once that happens, you either need to switch it over, but if it does continue to error, you'll need to reset your fridge. Now, a lot of people think that when they're wild camping, that they can run the fridge off the 12-volt leisure battery. However, that isn't the case. You can only run it off the gas, because if you was to run it off your 12-volt, it'll simply deplete all of the power out of the leisure battery. That 12-volt leisure battery is only there for when you're travelling. This vehicle has a built-in alternator, so as you're travelling down the road, the built-in alternator will send power to your leisure battery, which will send power to the fridge and allow it to be cool when travelling. So that's the way that it's set up. The fridge as well doesn't pull as much power as a domestic fridge, so please bear that in mind. So if you want cold things to be in the fridge, put cold things in, and if you want frozen things to be in the freezer, put frozen things in there. Above the fridge, you've got your microwave, which is here. Please bear in mind that this will only work off 230 volts, so when you're plugged in, it won't work when on 12 volt. You've then got your cupboards all around here, which give you a really good bit of storage. And on this side, you'll notice you have got your aerial. Your aerial, how you work that, is dead simple. All you need to do is unscrew this little cap here and push the aerial up. What that will do is it'll allow the aerial to get more signal, and on the little box here, it'll give you a green symbol or a green indication. We're getting an amber/red light at the moment because we're obviously in an enclosed space, but when you're outside, that should change to green, depending on where you are. To turn on and off this, you have got obviously a little button at the top there. Please make sure that's on for your aerial to work. Next to this, you've then got all your fuse boxes. Your fuses are all here, and your RCD breaker is just next to that. If the vehicle ever trips, you need to come to this point, and you can flip the switches back up. But obviously, if it is a fuse that has gone, fuses are all here. You can then change, obviously, space heater and water heater. You can select them from here, and you can see whether the system is charging. However, I personally recommend just to leave all this, as you can see, as a system shutdown when it goes into hibernation mode. But as I say, I personally recommend leaving all of this because all the things that you need to know are all on that panel there. The only reason you should come to here is to take your fuses and your RCD breaker for when your vehicle trips. Now, moving on from the storage area, you'll notice I've just dismantled your lounge area just on the right hand side, just to indicate a few more things. You can see located in this plastic box here, you have got your leisure battery. You don't need to do anything with the leisure battery, that just remains there. In the corner here, you have your Truma boiler. Your boiler is really important, and this is our final drain down point that I was going to lead on to. This is really important that you should always leave this open when travelling, or for example when in hibernation mode and storing the van, because if you ever get frozen water in the boiler, it's very expensive to replace. So at the moment, to drain this down, you use this little yellow toggle. At the moment in the down position it's closed. All you need to do to open that is flick it upwards, and that will drain out the boiler. This holds about 10 litres, so leave that up as you're travelling so all the water can drain out, but it's all done there. So that completes your waste, your fresh water, and also your boiler drain down point. As it's shown, your waste and fresh are all outside and your boiler is on the inside. So please make sure that is always drained down when moving off site and not using the vehicle. You will notice you've got some red taps here as well. They're just isolation valves. You don't need to turn them, they're only for the technicians who are working on the vehicle. Now coming back up, to access any of your storage underneath here, you've got a little panel here which pulls up. It's the exact same with this one here. Now to make up the bed, you can either use these as 2 singles, or how it's initially designed is that you pull this out like so. You can see that pulls the netting across. Do the same with this one to meet it in the middle, and then using the cushions, just got the other one here, this area can turn into a big double bed, which is really good and nice and usable as well. Once the lounge is all back and ready, the final thing that is remaining just to be talked about is, of course, your windows. Please make sure when travelling that all these are closed. To open these, simply open up and unlatch the arms like so, and then you can push the window out like that. Using the black little knobs on the either side, you can tighten them into position. And on all your windows, you've got a fly screen and a built-in blind as well, just to black out the entire front end. So that concludes the handover video on the Autotrail Tracker EKS. I hope you enjoyed.